Hello, I'm Dieter. Let's go on a journey and learn about materials together. Today we will show you how you can mix materials to improve the strength of a mortar wall. This is Jenny. She is mixing mortar. You can make a simple mortar or concrete out of a mixture of sand and clay, but of course you also need to add water. Here, we take a piece of the mortar and hang a bucket from it. Then we increase the weight of the bucket step by step by adding little metal weights. That didn't work so well. If we slow it down, we can see the cracks forming. Let's explore how we can make it better. There are a ton of different materials that show quite different behaviors when you pull on them. If we take, for example, balsa wood, a very bendy kind of wood, it doesn't break so easily when Jenny pulls on it. And when Jenny stops pulling, it goes right back into its original shape. We can also look at another material you have probably seen before. Metal window screen. You can see that the metal does not break easily at all. Rather, it changes its shape and does not change back when Jenny stops pulling on it. Now you can see the mortar, wood, and the window screen all respond differently when being pulled. The mortar cracks and breaks, the wood bends and bounces back, and the metal bends and keeps its new shape. But why do they behave differently? You can easily see that the sand and the clay are made of small particles. But did you know that when we zoom many times into the screen and the wood, they are also made of tiny particles? We can think of the particles in the mortar sticking together like a row of people holding hands. When we pull on it, the people's arms straighten out and the chain stretches. Finally, somebody loses connection the same way the particles in the mortar are pulled apart. The particles in the metal and the wood stick together a bit differently. In the wood, it's like suddenly something stretchy has been added to the connection between the people. When we pull now, the chain of people stretches a long way without anybody letting go. And when I stop pulling on the end, the people move back to their original positions. Now what if, rather than being able to stretch, the particles could just move around without breaking since they were all stuck together? Watch what happens when we pull on Dieter. First, Dieter drops the tightest string, but causes his lab mates to get pulled out of their original position without separating from them. Eventually, as we pull, we end up with a very different shape than we started with. But the people haven't separated from one another, and unlike with the stretchy exercise bands, they don't get pulled back to their original position. We saw that the screen and the balsa wood bent when we pulled on it, rather than breaking like the mortar. In order to improve our mortar, why don't we try combining the different materials to see if we can get a stronger material? You can see Jenny mixing the balsa wood with the mortar we created. And now Jenny will do the same. She's mixing the screen with the mortar. Oh, it looks like we got to put it in the oven to make this material. Let's test them. We saw for the wall that was made of just mortar, it broke very quickly. Let's see what happens for the one with balsa wood. As we can see, the wall with the balsa wood is taking more weight to break than just the mortar did. But it isn't bending like the balsa wood did when we tested it by itself. Let's see how the screen does. Again, the screen and mortar mixture holds more weight than the wall with just the mortar, but it doesn't bend either. And look how much weight we put in there. It's so strong! So what have we learned? Metal and woods are able to bend without breaking, and plain mortar can't. So if we mix it with the mortar, we can make a wall that holds up better to being pulled on than one that doesn't have anything bendy in it. Mixing materials is something engineers do every day to make things work better in our world. And by thinking about the properties of the materials you choose, you can build not only a strong wall, but many more exciting things, like skyscrapers, cars, computers, or even spaceships.